What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We're talking, do resumes matter? Resumes, such a gatekeeper tool for the ability for people to get employment, not unemployment. And a lot of it has gotten very formulaic, and we want to really dig into understanding what's happening with it, how we move on from where we are currently, how we create a more equitable process within hiring, and the resumes role within that.
I mean, I think they matter and they don't matter. How much importance do you really want to put into the resume versus like what the person is actually going to bring to your business, or what you're as a business going to give to that person?
I think they matter. If you do them right, it's a great way to show off who you are and stand out.
Workplaces worth working is like a fundamental thing that I'm always focused on. And finding the right people is absolutely important. This piece of paper as the linchpin in that happening, I want to really understand and evaluate that, who we are. We have to really start to communicate who we are. And what I've recognized, and I'm sure the two of you have seen it as well, it's become so formulaic where we said, don't do this, formulate like this, don't do this, put your thing here, spell this like this, make sure that's formatted like this, only put it one page. All of these different things, they may or may not be true. But we've put so much anxiety on people that basically everybody's resume looks exactly the same. And then we want people to be creative and be empowered parts of our teams, yet we're not willing to allow them to do anything outside of what's allowed in this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. How do we communicate who we are before what we do? I believe that has to be the quintessential way that we communicate with this resume, this tool that we have, because we have to start hiring for attributes and training for skills.
What I like to do is just to have a little, what am I thinking? Like an objective, essentially. Yep. But it has so what I do is I put my own attributes. So I'll put like, works well under pressure, energetic, has great wine knowledge, like just little blips in a tiny little paragraph right before the resume. So I think that gives people a better insight of who I am.
Nobody cares what I did a decade ago, at this restaurant that nobody cares about. Like, so it's just like, I was a chef de partie there. I worked from this time to this time. These are the stations that I worked. And I keep that simple. But like, as I've gained more responsibilities in kitchens and restaurants, I put the different things that I became responsible for and, what I learned and what I was able to implement.
One of the top things when I ask people on the hiring side, what you're looking for, is that job history is super important. There's always like, I don't want the person who's been at a place for 6 months, has gaps, all these things. You hear about those. And then simultaneously, you hear about restaurants with like very toxic culture. And sometimes I'm like, if you left a job after 3 months and I know that restaurant has a toxic culture, I might look at you in a higher regard because you have a short term that you value yourself more. So it's interesting. Just longer doesn't necessarily tell you the whole picture.
I've definitely seen those scenarios play out, but I think that has more to do with just knowing your self-worth versus, okay, so for me personally, when I first started out, I've jumped jobs a lot because I just keep going to jobs where I can make more money.
Sure.
And eventually you learn, your self-worth. But I think a lot of times in the service industry, you are, working for others essentially, so you forget that you don't have to stay in those toxic situations.
Anybody can show they have skills and that they have something to bring to the table, whether it is skills or whether it's just personality or, just like who they are as a person. So I think maybe diversifying the ways in which people are able to communicate that is I think that would be incredibly beneficial to our industry.
There are movements towards understanding that there are different types of intelligence now, as opposed to just being smart or stupid. So you have your kinesthetic knowledge, people who are good with their body. You have interpersonal intelligence, linguistic intelligence. So that being said, if science is starting to understand that, I don't see why it would be so crazy to move towards different formats for hiring people. You really do want to see the person as opposed to, just a piece of paper.
I want people to start to communicate who they are in the most meaningful way that they communicate. And some people, Will, to your point, they don't have access to things. They don't have the skills, yet they may have a great voice that sounds trustworthy. And I was like, I would love that person to be my server. I want to hear that. So I've been thinking about this idea of amuse-bouche, and I want to come to you guys, bite-sized content about who you are. And I've seen this where people have gotten jobs from making a TikTok video and telling a potential employer, this is what I'm about. This is who I am. And I think our values align. I would love to come work with a company like this. And I see 27, 35, 212 businesses going, you are exactly who we're looking for. And getting a job from a TikTok video, it's stupid. It's awesome. It's stupid. I get it. Yet it's a different way of thinking about communicating who we are and putting that out in the world